2026. The world is not exactly calm. Wars are active, borders are tense, ships are being watched, oil routes are getting nervous, and tweets that somehow ruin sleep across time zones. And everywhere you look, either something is being moved or someone is being removed. Because most of them are
deeply concerned about peace.
but it's standard geopolitics. Yeah, right. And then the attention snaps back to the Middle East once again. But this time it lands near a country people usually associate with safety, luxury, supercars, glamour, oil money, and well, even expensive air. The UAE. A safe haven, a money magnet, a synonym of stability. But when oil routes get nervous, safety stops being just a vibe. The Strait of Hormuz is not just some tiny stretch of puddle. It is one of the wealthiest patches of ocean on planet Earth.
Hormuz is located in the Persian Gulf and connects the body of water to the Arabian Sea. It's bordered by Iran to its north and the UAE and Oman to its south, with large tankers sailing through daily with around 20 million barrels of oil, according to a U.S. Energy Information Administration report. The same analysis found that more than a quarter of all oil traveling by ocean flows through the strait as of this year.
Now, the question becomes uncomfortable. When a country built on movement, money, and confidence comes under pressure, what actually holds? Everyone looks at Dubai first. And fair enough, Dubai is built to be seen. The skyline, the airport, the hotels, the property ads, the influencers. Yeah, them doing their thing. It is the UAE's most exportable image. Part people recognize before they understand the country behind it. And to be fair, that did not happen by accident. Dubai engineered attention into an economy, and it worked, maybe too well. Because once a city becomes a face, people start mistaking the front page for the newspaper. They see the lifestyle, not the structure underneath it. So no, this is not some lazy, Dubai is overrated bro take. That take is boring. Come on man, let's be honest. Most people say the UAE and picture one city, maybe two if they're feeling advanced. But the UAE is not one city with few extra exits on the highway, which we drivers tend to miss all the time. It is separate Emirates, one federation. And federations are interesting because the parts are not supposed to be identical, they are supposed to do different jobs. Each Emirates has its own ruler, history, geography, economy, rhythm, and even sand. Anyone who has driven from Dubai to Sharjah at the wrong time knows this country has different rhythms. Sometimes that rhythm is just brake lights, but this is where people get it wrong. Countries are not tested by their best angle, they're tested by their structure. The quiet stuff, the roads, families, institutions, trade routes, memory, the things that do not always trend, but quietly decide whether a country bends or holds shape. So the UAE is not one aesthetic, it is 7 different energies wearing one flag. And once you see that, the map stops looking like a brochure, it starts looking like a formation. Look at it like a system under pressure. And since everyone online suddenly has a lot of ball knowledge, thanks to Reels, look at it like a team trying to play out under pressure. Because when pressure comes, the highlight reel does not save you. The shape does. A formation is not just where players stand. It is how they cover each other when the pitch gets tight. So the real question is not, can Dubai handle it? The real question is, what happens when the full formation has to move together? And to understand that, start with the player everybody has come to watch. Dubai. Dubai is a number 7 forward. The shirt seller, the camera magnet, the player who scores once and suddenly the whole stadium is doing the celebration. You know the image. Airport you connect through, the skyline on every travel reel, the free zone where someone starts a company, the property ad that somehow finds you when you were just checking the weather. Dubai's job is attention. It turns tourism, aviation, trade, real estate, finance, events, luxury and business energy into movement. It does not just play the game, it sells the game. Annoyingly, it is very good at it. But once the game speeds up, you need more than a star forward. You need someone who can control the rhythm. That is where Sharjah enters. The elegant midfielder, first touch, clean. Head, up. No need for noise. Sharjah is where the UAE starts feeling less like a showroom and more like a society. Books, universities, museums, heritage, publishing, family life, culture. Sharjah is not trying to out Dubai. That would be a complete waste of everyone's time. It plays a different game. Dubai gives the UAE speed, Sharjah gives that speed a memory. Because when a country is sprinting into tomorrow, someone has to remember what badge they are wearing. Ajman is a trusted fullback. Nobody makes it about this player, but every manager trusts him. Always in position, always available, keeps the shape from looking unserious. Ajman is practically UAE. Rent, families, small businesses, workshops, warehouses, free zone activity, commute life. The person living in Ajman, working in Dubai, buying from Sharjah, storing stock in a warehouse, and driving across Emirates is not background noise. That is the UAE economy moving in real time, not glamorous, dependable. And dependable is underrated until it disappears. But even everyday life needs a physical base, because behind the skyline, there still has to be material. And that is where Ras Al Khaimah comes in. Ras Al Khaimah is the engine. Box-to-box steel, not just muscle, power with intelligence. The player who wins duels, carries weight, protects the shape, and still arrives when the team needs force. That is where the UAE stops feeling glossy and starts feeling physical. People think Ras Al Khaimah and picture Jebel Jais, staycations, zip lines, forts, and rugged weekend drives. Fair, but Ras Al Khaimah is also industry, ceramics, pharma, manufacturing, construction materials, factories, quarries, industrial zones. Somewhere behind Dubai's glossy lobby in cement, tiles, roads, factories, and materials that did not magically appear because someone made a nice render. Not everything important gets a drone shot. Ras Al Khaimah gives a formation weight. But when the pitch gets tight, weight alone does not save you. Sometimes you need a different angle completely. You need the player who sees the press early and gives the team an escape ball. Standing away from the chaos, reading the press before everyone else panics, quiet for 10 minutes, then one long ball and suddenly the whole team can breathe. That is Fujairah. Different coast, different route, different kind of safety. Fujairah isn't just your average mountains, beaches and a weekend drive with a better scenery. But geographically, Fujairah is much more interesting than that. It gives the UAE an east coast outlet on the Gulf of Oman. Oil storage, marine fuel, port infrastructure. Basically the kind of thing nobody flexes on Instagram until the map starts getting nervous. Because when the obvious route gets tense, the question is not who looks good on the ball. The question is who can still play out under pressure. Fujairah is a keeper who does not just save shots, he changes the angle of the game. But even a team with speed, rhythm, shape, steel and an escape ball still needs something older. Something that holds a line. Something that keeps the badge feeling like a badge. The old school centre back. That is Al Quain. Not the fastest, not the flashiest, not interested in the camera, but every serious team needs someone like this. The player who holds the line, who keeps the badge feeling like a badge, who reminds everyone that football existed before highlight edits and boot deals. Al Quain is coastline, mangroves, islands, fishing town memory, slower rhythm, old UAE soul. It is not trying to win the skyline contest, and maybe that is exactly why it matters. Because when everything around you starts moving faster, someone has to stay rooted. Al Quain reminds you the country existed before the trending reels, before every place needed a drone shot, before every destination became a brand campaign. Every team needs roots. Every country needs memory older than the current season. So now, the formation starts making sense? I guess. Dubai pulls the cameras, Sharjah gives rhythm, Ajman keeps the shape, Ras Al Khaimah brings the engine, Fujairah gives the escape ball, Al Quain holds the line. Different jobs, same shirt, but one player is still missing. And that missing player is where the whole game changes. Every serious team has that one player you do not understand fully from the highlights. The one who looks like he's doing less because he's already seen more. The left-footed, free roll captain. Quiet, scanning, waiting. The player who looks like he's walking, until suddenly everyone is playing at his tempo. He sees a pass before the pass exists. He does not need to dominate every sprint because he's already controlling the direction of the match. He does not chase the camera. The game just starts bending around him. And in the UAE, that player is Abu Dhabi. Not just the capital, that is the brochure version. Abu Dhabi is the control room, not the hero shot. This is where the UAE stops looking like a lifestyle content and starts looking like a strategy. Abu Dhabi's power is not just that it has money, plenty of places of money. The difference is what the money is connected to. Energy, ports, rail, legal infrastructure, sovereign funds, AI platforms and long-term state planning. Not random pieces, a system. While everyone watches the skyline, Abu Dhabi watches the board. While everyone talks lifestyle, Abu Dhabi talks ownership. Sometimes power looks calm. Sometimes it looks boring. But boring can be a very expensive advantage. Big claim. So let's put the receipts on the table. The obvious one, energy. Before the AI decks, before the finance headlines, before everyone suddenly became a futurist, the spine was oil. And in the UAE, that spine runs through Abu Dhabi. ADNOC is not just another oil company in the story, it is the energy backbone. ADNOC lists oil production capacity at around 4.85 million barrels per day with a target of 5 million barrels per day by 2027. That number matters because when oil stops being a market headline and becomes a geopolitical arm bell, Abu Dhabi is not just watching from their balcony, it is inside the machinery. It is asking what still moves. How does energy move? How do exports flow? How do you avoid depending on one dangerous route? And that brings back us to the Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz carries around a quarter of the global seaborne oil trade. So when Hormuz gets nervous, routes become power. Pipelines become power. Ports become power. And Fujairah stops being a weekend road trip in people's heads. And it becomes the escape ball. The UAE already has a crude route from Abu Dhabi to Fujairah, outside the Strait of Hormuz. So the question becomes very simple. Can you still move when the obvious path gets blocked? That is not panic. That is planning. And planning is a real flex. Not the loud kind, the useful kind. Then you understand why logistics matter. Ports are not just cranes near water. Rail is not just a launch video with clean seats and dramatic music. This is how a country stitches itself together. Ports to factories, industrial zones to borders, trade routes to population centers. A country is not truly connected because people can drive across it. It is connected when goods, energy, industry, and logistics can move through it. The point is simple. Stability is not a mood. It is infrastructure doing its job before anyone claps. Then comes the money. Not money as in rich country, nice buildings. That is a lazy version. Abu Dhabi's money sits inside institutions designed to buy time, back industries, and move before the trend becomes obvious. ADIA, Mubadala, ADQ, Lunate. You do not need to memorize the names like an exam. The point is what they represent. Cash becomes capital, capital becomes time, and when everyone else is reacting to the new cycle, time is power. Mubadala alone reported about $385 billion in assets under management in 2025. At that scale, money is not just money. It is patience with a balance sheet. But money alone is not enough. You need rules, credibility, a place where global capital can sit down and do business. That is why ADGM matters. And this is where the Dubai-Abu Dhabi difference becomes very real. A founder launching a flashy D2C fashion drop probably wants the Dubai room. Skyline launch dinners, influencer table, we are changing culture pitch deck. But if someone is building fintech rails, insurance infrastructure, AI compute, or institutional capital, that conversation starts feeling more like Abu Dhabi. Less ring light, more balance sheet. Maybe even a quiet drive down to the E11 to sit in an ADGM boardroom where nobody cares how good your launch reel looks. That is the shift. The skyline is what people see. Ownership is what people miss. Then comes the future layer. AI, compute, cloud, data centers. The stuff everyone now pretends they understood 5 years ago. Of course, when the money shows up suddenly, everybody has a vision. But Abu Dhabi's AI play is not just buzzwords on a conference table. Microsoft invested $1.5 billion in Abu Dhabi's G42. MGX was launched as an AI investment company. This is not a cute AI side quest. Abu Dhabi is cooking. Because if energy powered the old world, compute may power the next one. And Abu Dhabi is trying to sit inside both conversations. Even clean energy fits the same pattern. Through Masdar, Abu Dhabi is not just saying,
Don't worry, Habibi, we also like solar.
Masdar says its clean energy portfolio has reached 65 gigawatts with a target of 100 gigawatts by 2030. So Abu Dhabi is not only defending the old game, it is buying into the next one. Now, the control room idea makes sense. Energy spine, route optionality, logistics, capital, rules, AI, clean power. Different receipts, same pattern. Built before the pressure arrives. So when people ask, what does Abu Dhabi actually do? Here is the answer. It builds a spine. That is why Abu Dhabi is not just a capital. It is the control room. So let's go back to the beginning. Okay, you guys are still here. Okay. I'm wrapping it up. Relax. The oil anxiety, the flight disruptions, the airspace restrictions, the Strait of Hormuz, the nervous headlines. And naturally, the world looked at the part it already knew how to look at. Because that is how the internet works. If it looks expensive and has good lighting, people assume they understand it. But pressure has a funny way of ruining the edit. Suddenly, the question is not, can the skyline handle it? The question is, what has the country built underneath it? And that is where the story changes. Because no, the UAE is not magic. It is not risk-free. It does not get to the mute geography just because the roads are clean and coffee is, well, expensive. This region is still this region. Routes can get nervous. Markets can wobble. Confidence can be tested. But pressure also reveals preparation. It shows what was already holding the system together before everyone started paying attention. Dubai pulled attention. Sharjah gave rhythm. Ajman kept the shape. Ras Al Khaimah brought the engine. Fujairah gave the escape ball. Al Quwain held the line. And Abu Dhabi controlled the tempo. That was the formation underneath the skyline. Everyone watched the trailer. The actual plot was happening underneath. If you only saw the headlines, you saw the press. If you saw the formation, you saw the plan. And if you still think the UAE is just Dubai with better lighting, man, you didn't pay attention, did you? Anyways, maybe the problem is not where you were looking. Maybe the problem is that you were not watching closely. So my question is, are you watching closely?